Hello everyone, and welcome to this month's virtual JBug. So we have Antoine back again to talk about, this time he's going to talk about Apache DeltaSpike. So hi Antoine, good to see you again.
Hi Paul, thank you for inviting me again on your virtual JBug.
So introduce yourself or kick off the presentation.
So I'm going to talk today about Apache DeltaSpike. Let me introduce myself. Launch my slide. Okay. So here we are. So I'm Antoine Sabot-Durand. I'm working at Red Hat as a senior software.
Your screen's black at the moment.
Is there a problem?
Yeah, it's black. The screen's black. Are you?
Oh.
Have you got multiple monitors plugged in?
Here. Is it working there?
No, it's still not working.
Okay, go back to the camera.
Okay, I can see you now.
Okay. Start the screen sharing again. Is that good here? Is it good here?
Yeah, I can see. Yeah, we can see you now.
Okay, I'm starting the slides.
Excellent. Ah, that's a really.
Does it work? Is it working?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you.
Oh. Okay. So let's start again. So I'm Antoine Sabot-Durand. I'm a senior software engineer at Red Hat, and I have the CDI co-spec lead role at Red Hat, and I'm also working on the CDI community development. So working on a project around all the CDI initiative and things like that. And I'm also an Apache DeltaSpike committer. And tonight I'm going to talk about DeltaSpike. So I will give you my insight about the project and all the features in the project. So we're going to start with the universal question: what is Apache DeltaSpike? Starting to talk about the project, its history, and what is it about. And after that, we will dive into the feature of DeltaSpike. First, DeltaSpike core, and after that, all the DeltaSpike modules. We won't be able to see all the features of DeltaSpike because there are a lot of them. But at the end of the presentation, I will give you some link to the documentation on the site, so you can dig on the source code and example by yourself. So let's start with the definition of DeltaSpike. So DeltaSpike project is related to CDI specification. In fact, CDI is only a specification. It provides a way to define dependency injection, eventing, and things like that. If you have been at the presentation in December, you know all the stuff about that. But CDI doesn't include business feature or high-level feature. It includes features that give the possibility to add these feature, this business feature. I put a hook on the slide here to show the idea of extending CDI with the portable extension feature in CDI. So with the portable extension feature of CDI, you can bring a lot of stuff in your project through CDI, and that's what DeltaSpike is. DeltaSpike, in fact, is a collection of extensions that will help you in your project. You can use them right away. We will see some of them in the following slides. But it is also a toolbox to help you to develop your new CDI extension. If you start to develop CDI extension from scratch and you are a beginner, perhaps you will find some things a bit difficult to catch or to grab on, or perhaps how to say, the fact that the code might be a bit verbose if you don't have those helpers. So the toolbox helps you to write your extension, and it's also a great way to learn how to develop a good extension and all the best practice around CDI extension development. So you can go in the source code of the project, and it's very modular, so you can explore piece by piece and understand how it is developed and learn by yourself for CDI. And of course, it's the entry point to the CDI ecosystem. So a lot of projects based on CDI use DeltaSpike to ease their integration with CDI. DeltaSpike comes from two main projects. The first one is the JBoss Sim 3 project that started after the CDI specification was released, and that was a collection of CDI extensions like DeltaSpike. On the other hand, on the Apache Foundation, there was also an initiative around CDI, which was called CODI, and both projects merged to give DeltaSpike. And a third source of code in DeltaSpike came from other CDI initiatives, and regularly there are new features added to DeltaSpike from third-party developers. So DeltaSpike has a great compatibility range. So it's working on CDI 1, 1.1, 1.2, and a lot of different application server. And of course, it's working on both CDI implementation, JBoss Weld, or OpenWebBeans. So you can start working with DeltaSpike if your application server has CDI 1.1 or 1.2. There is no issue using DeltaSpike, and all the application server listed here are tested with the project. So to go through the history very fastly. So the project started 4 years ago. The first release, which was a release in the Apache incubator, was in February 2012, and we had the first official release of the project in June 2014. So it took a little time to get the project to mature step, but now it's very mature, and it's very fast-paced. There are new release, I would say, every 2 months, every 3 months now. So at the moment we have the version 1.21, and the next one will be released in the coming weeks. Let's detail what's included in Delta. So the list of features here are the list of modules in the project. The first in my list is about container control. You may know that CDI only works today in Java EE environment, in a Java EE server. The container control, yeah?
The slide transition seems to have hung. You've got the, oh, there we are, it's fixed now.
Oh, I'm too fast on the slide. So I'm at the what's included in slide.
Yeah, it looks good now. The problem was the previous slide was kind of transposed over this slide, but the rendering seems to be fixed now, so you're okay to proceed.
Sorry for that.
Thank you.
So we have a limitation today on CDI. You cannot boot CDI on Java EC. You can do this from the implementation. There are a specific way to boot Weld, specific way to boot OpenWebBeans. DeltaSpike brings a third way, an abstract way that works for both implementation. So the container control is the way to boot CDI in Java EC or in a light server, in a servlet environment. After that, there is the core DeltaSpike, the core module. I will go through a lot of features of the core module after that. It's the kernel of DeltaSpike, and there are a lot of interesting things in that. We will see that after that. Partial bin module, we will describe rapidly what is in this module. To keep in mind, it's a way to develop generic handler. It's a way to choose the code dynamically at runtime. We will see how it is used in the data module. Next module is the scheduler module. So you have a module that helps you to schedule job. It is based on Quartz, but you can implement your own scheduler with other framework if you have another one. There's also a security module to add security to your application. And after that, there are some integration module for bin validation and for GPA. Those modules are mainly used for Java E6 and bin validation and GPA included in Java E6. Most of the features in this module are now included in Java E7. So if you are under Java E7, you won't have to use those. Data module it's an implementation of the repository pattern. So it's a way to remove all the GPA boilerplate code. It's something looking like Spring Data. If you know Spring Data, it's the same inspiration. Servlet module is also a module that enhances servlet integration for CDI, and also it's mainly for CDI 1, so if you are in Java E7, you won't use it. JSF module add a lot of stuff around JSF. There are a lot of things in this module, and I won't cover it in this presentation. And lastly, the test control, so it's a module to help you create tests for your application. So if we look at all the modules and the dependency, you roughly have something like that. So you have the core module, which is at the center of all of our modules, and the 10th of our modules that are displayed like that. On the slide, all the blue square are the module I will deal with in the presentation. So, adding DeltaSpike to your project is very fast. If you use a Maven or another build system, you only have to add it to your descriptor like this. So you have the API artifact and the implementation artifact. And for each of our module, you have the same. If you want to integrate data, you will add the data module in your POM.XML. All of this is very well described in the documentation. So let's start speaking about DeltaSpike core. So the first feature in core that is very interesting is the configuration API and SPI that DeltaSpike brings to your project. This configuration API doesn't depend on CDI. So that's the good idea, because you can use it when CDI is not up. You can use it, for instance, in a portable extension at the time where CDI is not booted, so you can use this configuration at this time. So you will use the entry point, which is the config resolver. I will show you an example right after that. And you can define different sources to look for your configuration items. So you have a config source SPI that allows you to add new configuration source, and of course they are already provided out of the box configuration source. I will give the list right after that. And you can define for each of these source priority, which is called a DeltaSpike ordinal. and the highest the priority is, the fastest it is picked. So the out-of-the-box config source are the system properties. So we are going to look in your system environment properties. Environment properties, so all the configuration you put in when you launched your JVM. You also have a way to look in GNDI, and lastly, you can also look in a property file. By default, it will be the Apache DeltaSpike.properties file, but you can configure the system to use your own property file for the configuration. So how to use this configuration stuff? So it's quite obvious. If you want to use it without CDI dependency, you will use the config resolver class, and as it is shown in the first example, with the get property value, you give a key and you get the value. So it will look in all the active configuration source that is present in your project. You can also inject your configuration property, like it is shown in the second example. So using the @inject annotation and the @config property qualifier, you give the name, the key of your value, and you can inject that. It's also a type-safe way of injecting configuration. You see in the example here, we are injecting the value in integer field. DeltaSpike provides out-of-the-box conversion for string, integer, long, boolean, and float. You can provide your own way to produce the config property. So the last example show, for instance, a way to provide your own conversion for your own class. So it's very open and very extendable. Next feature would be the project stages. So it's a way to define the stage of your project. So you can change the implementation or the configuration depending on the fact you are working on the development environment, on the integration test environment, staging, production, and so on. So you can use this system to put your project in all your pipeline of deployment, things like that. It is based on the configuration mechanism we just saw, and it's working very easily. So you can define your staging environment when you launch the JVM, like it is shown in the first example, by adding the environment property. Or you can inject the project stage and test the value of the stage and decide what to do according to that. We will see just after that we can also use it to activate or deactivate beans according to the stage. And that will be done through the @exclude annotation. So DeltaSpike provide a net exclude annotation. If you're working with CDI 1.1 in Java EE7 or CDI 1.2, you already have the vetoed annotation, which is a way to forbid a class to become a bin or a package to become a bin. So you won't need the @exclude annotation, but you can still use it because you have more powerful feature with the @exclude. As you can see in all the example, you can exclude a bin depending on the project stage. You can exclude a bin if we are not in a given project stage, or you can use a kind of expression evaluation, like roughly like an expression language, to have a test and decide if you should or shouldn't activate the class as a bin, or create your own interpreter for your own expression language. So it's quite useful and can be very powerful. Next feature present in the core. So to be clear, I'm talking only of the core module right now. We will deal with other modules right after that. So the next feature is the way of handling exception. So DeltaSpike provides you a way to handle your exception in your development. So it's based on CDI event, and you will use a few class and annotation to trigger all the exception handler system. So you will start with an exception to catch event that will wrap your exception. After that, you will declare a bin as an exception handler to say, okay, in this bin there are one or many exception handler, and in each exception handler you will use the @handles and the exception event to handle an exception. So it will be easier to look at an example. So here we've got an example. You've got a bin, inventory actions, and you've got a method, query for item. This method has a try catch clause, and in a catch clause you see that we use the catch event we injected at the beginning of the class, and this event fire an exception to catch event, and we are wrapping the persistence exception in the exception to catch event. So the exception handler engine in DeltaSpike will deal with this exception and will dispatch it to the exception handlers. You've got an example of an exception handlers below. So you have a bin which is called my handler that handle one exception. So it is handling all throwable exceptions, so a lot of exceptions. So you have the @handles annotation. It's quite like the @observes annotation used in the eventing system of CDI, and you can use the exception event to deal with your exception, decide to handle the exception or continue to stop the code, etc. So you can federate all your exception management in one place with those handlers. Next feature is about injectable resource. So you have the possibility to inject resource, mainly a text file or a binary file, as an input stream. But you can create your own source if you want. I don't know, to read things from a NoSecure database. You can imagine something like that. So it's a convenient way to inject a reader for a file or an input stream. Again, when I'm showing example, there are a lot of things behind. You can check that on the documentation or in the example of the project. Next feature is about internationalization. So you've got a support for the message bundle in DeltaSpike. This support will be done by using the @message_bundle annotation that you will apply on an interface. And in this interface, you will add all your message, and the property file will be built according to the name of the interface. So here we've got a simple message interface in the package org Apache DeltaSpike example. So the system will look for the org/apache/deltaspike/example/ simple message bundle. So the simple message.property, simple message underscore en.properties, etc., etc. After that, you put all your property key in @message template annotation, and you have a mapping of your property file in value of your interface. So DeltaSpike will deal with the resolution of that to give you the possibility to get those things. There are a lot of other things around internationalization. You have dynamic or interpolation. There are a lot of things that you can do with the system. So I encourage you to go to the documentation and look at that. The last thing I wanted to show you in the core of DeltaSpike it was to give you an example of all the helpers you have in the project to help you build your own portable extension. So for instance, one feature I use very often are the CDI metadata builders. When you develop a CDI extension, you very often need to create the SPI metadata in your extension. So you need to create an annotated type or a bin or an injection target or things like that. So DeltaSpike provides an easy way to create those metadata. It's a way to reduce your code, because if you use CDI out of the box, creating those metadata can be very verbose. So the major builders are the annotated type builder, the bin builder, or I also gave the example of the wrapper bin builder that takes an existing bin and creates a new bin from this bin, duplicating its feature, but allowing you to override its feature. So at the end, we will have two bins, the original one and a new one with the properties of the first one, plus all the things you change in those properties. So description is nice, but code example is better. So let's look at some example around those builder. The first example is an example I took from a presentation I gave at DevOps around integration of a third-party framework. And we needed to define one annotation in this framework as an interceptor binding. So here we see that we are in an portable extension here. So we have added a before bin discovery observer, and we are creating a new annotated type for an existing annotation which is called timed. We add the non-binding annotation on the field of this annotation, and after that, when it's finished, we add this annotation, this annotated type as an annotation, as an interceptor binding using the before bin discovery add interceptor binding. The second example shows how it is easy to create a new bin. So the register generic bin observes the after bin discovery event of the CDI lifecycle. We use the bin builder helper from DeltaSpike. In this builder, we use all the metadata coming from the user class. We tell the builder that the bin will be passivable. We add other type to the bin. And after that, there is a little test. We are testing are we running the application on the web or not. If we are on the web, we put the bin in the session scope. If it's not the case, we put the bin in the application scope. And after that, we create the bin by calling the .create method from the builder, and we add the bin to the set of bin in the bin manager. Sorry. Okay, that's all for the DeltaSpike core. Again, there are a lot of other things in core. You can go to the documentation to the site and check by yourself. So regarding the module, I wanted to show you one of the interesting stuff about the module is the container control that allows you to boot CDI from Java IC. So here you got a very simple example, but you see that it's little more than just booting CDI. If you look at the code example, you see that we can decide to start context or not in the container we just booted. So there are a lot of nice stuff you can do using this container control module and API. So I will encourage you to go check all the documentation around that. Inspired by this container control, you have all the tools to help you writing tests for CDI. So it's a very recurring question about CDI or Java IE project. How do I test my code? So there are a lot of solutions out there. At Red Hat, we've got a project called Archelian that helps you to write tests for Java IE or all kind of technology that needs to wrap data, to wrap code and launch code in a container. In DeltaSpike, we have a very slim and very easy to use solution, but it's only dedicated to CDI. So it is based on JUnit. So you use the @runwith annotation from JUnit. You use the CDI test runner class, and that's it. You can inject bin in your test. You can also define a suite of tests to be sure that the container will be launched at the beginning of the suite and will be shut down after all the tests have been launched in the suite. And you can also have a condition about the define the project stage in your test to be sure that all the stages you are using are corresponding to your test case. Next module will be security. So security define a bunch of solutions to plug your security solution on your project. So you've got a solution about security binding for your project. So here you see that we define an annotation called admin only, and the @security binding type define that it will be used in the security engine of DeltaSpike. After that, we can associate your security binding, here admin only, to the permission verifier by using the @secures annotation. So you see that in the application authorizer bin. So you can have your test there, and of course, after that, you can use your @admin only annotation on a bin, on a method, and etc. There is no advanced security stuff included in DeltaSpike, but there are hooks to integrate third-party security integration. For instance, there are all the stuff that allows JBoss Picket Link solution to be integrated with the DeltaSpike, and Picket Link provides integration with DeltaSpike. So you can use Picket Link through this API and rely on the powerful security solution behind, and not have to develop your own security check or user database or whatsoever. You can use a third-party solution very easily. It's things for that. Next feature will be the scheduler feature. So it's quite straightforward. It's working with the Quartz framework, and you have a bunch of solutions to schedule your job. So you define a Quartz job, and you add the add schedule annotation with the cron expression, and you can launch your job when you want them to be scheduled. There are more advanced stuff around the scheduler. You can schedule at runtime, you can schedule by hand, and so on. So go to the documentation. There are a lot of things in the scheduler module. Next module will be the data module. I will show you, in fact, two modules in this module: the data module and the partial bin module as well. So as I said in the introduction, data module is an implementation of the repository pattern. So I think it's a pattern that came from the .NET environment, and that was first implemented in the Java world by Spring. I may be wrong, but I think it's the main implementation we know with Spring Data. On DeltaSpike, right now it only supports the relational database, so through the GPA specification, but it's ready to be extended to support other data services. So if you want to add your MongoDB or Cassandra or whatsoever, you can bring your contribution to the project. It uses one other module, which is called the partial build module, that provide a way to dynamically create the code that you want to run at runtime. So for people that don't know the repository pattern definition, in fact it came from the domain-driven design from Eric Evans. In a repository pattern, the repository represents a set of objects of a certain type, and in fact it will act like a collection, like a set, like a list, whatsoever. But you have in this repository, in this collection, a very powerful way to query your object. So here the query will be the GPA query. So let's see an example. It will be easier. So here we define repository, but by adding at repository annotation, DeltaSpike at repository annotation on an interface. This interface extends the entity repository, which take two parameter types. So the class you want to store in your repository, here it's user, and the type of the primary key of your user class. After that, you can add the method to request your object from the database. So the final request for GPA will be generated from the name of the method. So here you have the find by username and password. So the system will analyze the name of your method, and you will build the request and launch the request when you call this method. You can also specify your GPQL request in the @query annotation, like it is shown in the second example. So it's quite powerful. It can be very nice if you have a lot of simple way to interact with GPA. You can have a lot less boilerplate code in your development if you use this module. So out of the box, the data module will support those GPA functions, so count, find all, etc., etc. So again, I encourage you to have a look at the documentation to see all the possibility you have and all the possibility you have to extend this data module stuff. And that's all. So as I said during all the slides, you can find more information or documentation on the website, DeltaSpike, Apache.org. You can follow the Twitter account for the DeltaSpike. You have a lot of examples on the website. You also have different examples, so it's interesting to browse both places. On the JBoss developer website, we've got a lot of nice quick start or example around DeltaSpike. And that's it. If you have questions.
Thank you very much, Antoine.
Yeah.
I've got a question for you at the moment. I've just asked in the IRC in the chat room.
Yeah, but I didn't see it. Sorry, I didn't see the question.
Oh no, it's okay. I'll handle those questions for you. So I have a question for you though. So if I say I've written a portable extension for CDI that I think is could be useful for other people, should I consider contributing it to DeltaSpike? And do you have any guidelines for what type of...
You can consider contributing to DeltaSpike. So if you go to the website, you have all the information to join the mailing list or the IRC channel, and you can ask to the people on the mailing list if your work is interesting for the DeltaSpike project. There are a lot of contributions that came to the project like that. So I've built this CDI extension for this framework or for this feature. Do you think it's interesting for your project? Sometimes it's yes, sometimes it's no. It's very often it's no when the things you bring is too big. For instance, if you come to the project with the MVC solution based on CDI, like Veraptor or something like that, I think the project manager will tell you, oh, it's interesting, but it's too big for the DeltaSpike project. But if you have a little stuff or interesting stuff, you can go to the project, and it's the best way to federate all the initiative around CDI ecosystem.
Okay, oh, that makes sense. Thank you. So also, I was wondering, do you have like a wider sort of a wider community of plugins where anybody can contribute a plugin? Maybe like a marketplace, for example. So it's not part of the DeltaSpike core set of plugins, but there's kind of just a big list somewhere that anybody can add to and add their description. Does that make sense?
Yeah, you are talking about plugin for CDI, for extension for CDI, or only for DeltaSpike?
Sorry, so I was just thinking kind of a marketplace for portable extensions. I was just wondering if that sort of made sense.
Yeah, I'm working right now as a CDI spec lead. I'm working on the CDI website to list all the project and initiative around CDI. So all the framework using CDI, DeltaSpike, and others. And it won't be a marketplace because you don't have to pay anything. It's only a way to federate all all the project, all the little initiative or bigger initiative around CDI, to have somewhere a place to say, okay, if you are using CDI in your project, you have those solutions to enhance your project.
Yeah, so I wasn't expecting people to pay for them, but I just kind of meant the general term of marketplace where people can go and list they're kind of like a repository where anybody can add their content.
Yeah, there were discussions about that, but perhaps we will create a kind of meta repository in GitHub with submodules for the other repository, to have a repository where all these projects are listed, but it's only a symbolic link to this project.
Okay, thank you.
And it doesn't exist yet. It's a project.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, absolutely. So we don't seem to have any other questions at the moment from the chat room. Okay. So is there anything else that you wanted to say, Antoine?
No, except if you want to check the code, the project, and want to contribute to DeltaSpike, initiatives are always very welcomed, and the team is very active, and you can go and ask, propose, and don't be shy.
Okay. Oh, well, excellent. Thank you very much, and thanks for the talk, Antoine. So one other thing I wanted to say was, if you look at the meetup page for Virtual JBug at the moment, it's quite light on upcoming presentations. Just to let you know that we're working on we're putting together a schedule for kind of throughout the year. So keep an eye out, and sessions are going to start appearing pretty soon. We've got some good, exciting stuff coming. Okay, I think we'll leave that there for now. So thanks again, Antoine, and thanks for everyone who are joining. And hopefully we'll see you at the next Virtual JBug session. Bye-bye. Okay. Thanks. Bye, Antoine.
Bye. Bye. Thanks, everybody.